Hello and welcome. This is Pre-Uni New College. This video is intended to provide information about thinking skills and how to solve these questions through logical steps. These logical explanations and solutions will be beneficial. However, please be advised it does not give all the answers to solving the thinking skills questions. Most importantly, consistent study and reading are essential for successful results. Pre-Uni New College has always taught logic to students, and this video is intended to guide and benefit you. This video and guideline about thinking skills is not intended as a shortcut to understand the logic. Students must study consistently to achieve successful results. Let's begin the video. Welcome to Part 1. Part 1 will cover the basics and the general approach to critical thinking questions. In this part, we'll be covering 1. What is a critical thinking question? 2. Premises and conclusions. 3. Logic not grammar. And 4. Question solving tips, which includes the 5 steps. Let's begin by looking at what is a critical thinking question. Number 1. What is a critical thinking question? Critical thinking questions are some of the trickiest questions students will encounter in a thinking skills exams because they are logic-based. In a typical critical thinking question, you'll be given an argument. An argument is a set of reasons given in support of an idea, action, or theory. A complete argument contains a set of premises and a conclusion. Now let's look in detail about what premises and conclusions are. Number 2. Premises and conclusions. Premises are pieces of information that provide evidence and support the conclusion of the argument. These are facts that cannot be disputed. The conclusion is the endpoint of the line of the reasoning of an argument or the result of the argument. Consider the following argument as an example. Many students went to Pre-Uni New College before taking the selective test and achieved high marks. Obviously, going to Pre-Uni New College will allow students to achieve the best marks. The premise in this example would be many students went to Pre-Uni New College before taking the selective test and achieved high marks. The conclusion is going to Pre-Uni will allow students to achieve their best marks. So, looking at this example, we have been able to identify what the premise is and the conclusion is. Moving on to number 3, which is logic not grammar. Critical thinking questions will provide arguments that may seem like they require an advanced understanding of English grammar rules. Though English grammar rules are essential, critical thinking questions are logic-based. So if we have a look here, it says, it is tempting to try to solve critical thinking questions using grammar, but we must use logic. Don't try to break down the argument into parts in a critical thinking question. Rather, reorder the information and identify the premises and conclusion. Deconstructing the argument using the suggested way will help you notice illogical connections. We'll now look at number 4, which is question solving tips. A general approach can be used to solve critical thinking questions in a thinking skills exam. So questions will ask you to analyze arguments which are made up of premises and conclusions. Follow these steps to answer critical thinking questions. Step 1. Read the question first. Step 2. Read the argument. Step 3. Paraphrase the argument using your own words. Step 4. Predict the answer. And Step 5. Eliminate wrong answers and find the best answer. Let's break down each step. So Step 1 was read the question first. When presented with a critical thinking question, we should first read the question. In particular, identify the question line, that is, the line that ends in a question mark and asks the reader to do something. This will allow us to determine what type of critical thinking question we are dealing with and what we should look for in the answer options. As we are reading the question, we should also look at the answer options. Think of each answer option as an additional premise or a conclusion that could be added to the argument. Step 2, which is read the argument. After reading the question, identify each premise that is presented in the argument and identify the argument's conclusion if applicable. Step 3. Paraphrase the argument using your own words. It is common for critical thinking questions to be heavily worded and complex. It can be helpful to restate the argument using words and situations that you can relate to. However, do this step only if necessary. This step is the only step that can be skipped because restating the argument can bring you further away from the actual text. Step 4. Predict the answer. Imagine adding each answer option to the argument as an additional premise or conclusion. What effect would each have on the overall argument? The effect you are looking for depends on the type of question. We will go through the specific effects in more detail when we discuss each type of critical thinking question. Step 5. Eliminate wrong answers and find the best answer. Finally, use process of elimination to eliminate wrong answers and find the best answer option. Eliminate any answer option that is out of scope. Out of scope refers to an option that is not relevant to the question. Also, check if the answer option is consistent with what the argument is saying or whether it is assuming unstated information. As with the previous step, the answer options to eliminate are dependent on the type of question. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully it has helped you understand a bit about thinking skills and the logic on how to solve these questions. Please note, as stated in the start of the video, studying and reading consistently are essential for successful outcomes. See you next time.